Let's talk about the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan. In a matter of just weeks, 20 years of history have been reversed at a speed no one predicted.
Wow. I mean, to see the Taliban, and these are actually fighting Taliban, they're not Taliban leadership, they're in the presidential palace, sitting in the president's desk.
Disturbing images of people running for their life, living behind everything, even their homeland, chasing an airplane like it's a bus, and even tying themselves up to the flight, which eventually led to death. This was what we saw recently in Afghanistan when it was invaded by Taliban, eventually capturing it. A fundamental question arose in the minds of people. Who are these people called as Taliban? Where do they come from? To understand this, let's go back to the 1980s. It was the time of the Cold War and the global power was divided between two, USA and USSR, where they were trying to influence every nation across the globe with their respective ideologies. Afghanistan as a nation fell prey to this. The Soviets or the Russians made place in Afghanistan and USA resented this. A guerrilla group called as Mujahideen started to fight the Soviet occupation. They were supported by the CIA of the USA with money and arms for this. For 9 years, the so-called war went ahead, and finally, USSR withdrew from Afghanistan. After this, there was no asker, there was no teller of what was the fate of this nation. In 1992, the world witnessed a civil war in Afghanistan between tribal leaders who fought for power. In 1994, a group named Taliban got attention. This group comprised of religious people, religious leaders, some of whom had fought as Mujahideen and with an intention that they wanted power and they would establish the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. By 1996, they became so powerful that they eventually seized Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan. They imposed the so-called Islamic rule, which was strictest interpretation of the Shariat law. Here's Ali Latifi telling us how the rule looked previously.
By 1996, the Taliban had seized the capital. They declared Afghanistan an Islamic emirate and started imposing their own strict interpretation of Islamic law.
They were like, you can't watch movies, you can't listen to music, women can't go to school, and other than doctors, they can't go to work. You have to wear a certain type of clothes, you have to have a certain kind of beard, it just became more and more restrictive.
So how did USA come into the picture of Afghanistan? Moving ahead to 2001, the 9/11 happened. Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda, was held responsible for this. He hid himself in Afghanistan with the help of Taliban. US wanted Taliban to make Osama surrender, but they asked for proof that he was behind the attack. That was it. USA invaded Afghanistan. Two things happened here. One, Taliban was ousted, and second, Afghanistan got a responsible government with a new constitution, and Hamid Karzai was the new president. The scenario just got worse, where we saw a bitter struggle between USA and Taliban, where the latter wanted to oust the foreigners and get back to power. The sufferers were many. In this bitter struggle, over 40,000 Afghan civilians were killed. Over 60,000 Afghan military and policemen have died. Over 3,000 soldiers of USA and NATO have died. USA has spent millions and millions of dollars on this so-called war. Taliban then controlled most areas of Afghanistan against the government. They employed 80,000 trained militants or soldiers. It can be easily told that Taliban ran a parallel government with their control over finance, education, health, and even courts and judiciary. How did Taliban make money? Simple. They make money through these activities where they collect taxes. Also, they make money by growing opium poppies and trading it. Now, they have also started to explore minerals and trade them in the international market. they also receive funding from foreign nations. Let's talk about the recent developments. Since the Biden regime came about, there were talks that USA is going to pull its troops from Afghanistan, and there could be quite some chaos. Biden believed that Afghanistan was quite strong now and had a decently large army to defend itself. But within a month, the influence of Taliban in power grew from 20% of Afghanistan to 60% of Afghanistan, eventually capturing the capital Kabul once again in 2021. Starting from August 6th, they started to slowly reach all important provincial capitals. After Zaranj, all of them started to fall one by one. When they reached Jalalabad, it was the end. They surrounded Kabul with President Ashraf Ghani leaving the nation. What you saw the next few days was complete chaos.
That evening, those Taliban fighters were inside the presidential palace. It capped off a crazy day when things were changing by the hour.
People were panicking. People were trying to get into cars. They were trying to get their money out of the banks. They were trying to go to visa services offices. I saw people buying luggage. It just seemed like people were trying to figure out what to do.
And then there was a mad rush for flights out.
The airport road was like completely full of cars, lots of armored vehicles, lots of vehicles with government plates, people of means, people of power. But a lot of others were basically looking to flee.
The situation got even more chaotic the next day. Commercial flights were suspended, and we saw desperate scenes like this.
You saw people climbing on the tires of planes, even as they were taking off.
And then at least one man appearing to fall to his death.
What were the possible reasons for such easy fall of Afghanistan to Taliban? Firstly, let's understand that the onus was completely put on the Afghan forces that were irregularly trained and not even half as capable as the US Army to fight against a psychologically trained Taliban army with greater weapons at their disposal. Experts also believe that US and the others have only over-exaggerated the number of Afghan army, which is in fact much smaller than their claim of 3 lakhs. It has also been reported that the government did not pay sufficient amount of attention to all parts of the country with enough troops and enough air support. They missed this, and Taliban got greater control in the region and the surrounding areas. The Taliban got more powerful with more presence and eventually got the army men surrender in return of payment of money or even death. Payment of money seemed more lucrative because Afghan government had not even paid salaries to their soldiers. Some soldiers have even complained of not having enough food and water for their survival. Taliban was literally preparing for this moment with proper strategic and psychological planning. They stuck right when the iron was hot. It's very important for us Indian citizens to know what's in it for India. Firstly, India has done its best and evacuated its diplomatic and civilian population from Afghanistan, but Afghanistan was more than that for India. It was the only nation through which India had access to other Central Asian nations like Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, etc. Also, India had tried its best to get connected to Afghanistan. You must have heard of the Chabahar port in Iran that would lead India into Afghanistan through the hugely invested Zaranj-Dilaram highway. And then India developed the parliament building of Afghanistan. India has also developed the Salma Dam in Afghanistan. All this literally has gone waste now. Why? Because India will never officially with Taliban, as India doesn't communicate, coordinate or talk with terror outfits. If India does not coordinate with Taliban, India must be wary of how it can give support to anti-India terror groups, while our hostile neighbors seem to rejoice this new development in Afghanistan. Taliban has great connections with Pakistan, and if we witness even minute positive changes in the Indo-Taliban relations, Pakistan can withdraw their support to Taliban, so even Taliban refrains from talking to us. Taliban is also dangerous for us because though they have claimed that they will not promote organizations like Al-Qaeda or ISIS, they haven't said the same about organizations like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. Simply pointing out Kashmir can be an easy target for our enemies because both Pakistan and China have an eye on it, and both can derive their powers or at least get support from Taliban. India is definitely in a tricky position right now. What's next for Afghanistan? Have a look.
The Islamic Emirate is committed to the rights of women within the framework of Sharia.
In some ways, it's really different from what we were told it was like in 1996. They're trying to be very accommodating.
See women as their equal or even like, a second class citizen. They see them as commodity, as possessions. So expecting them that they have changed and they will let women talk or do anything is far beyond comprehension.
They want to reimpose their old version of their emirate, which would result in severe restrictions of most of the gains of the past 20 years. The life people have come to expect.
Who is the mayor of Kabul right now? Who is the governor of Kabul right now? Who is it going to be in charge? And what is that structure going to look like?
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like our content, subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for more such content ahead, because News Hamster is your choice and no noise. Thank you.